the path that has been given, the directions which have been given, and all the the regulatory principles are also part of Tat Karma.
Okay. And what are the two types of Tat Karma Pravartana? Anybody can tell? Two things that were there we discussed last class. Tat Karma.
Hare Krishna Komal Mataji.
Niyamas and yamas, Mataji.
What is yama and what is niyama?
Niyamas is a positive way of speaking, the 9 principles of devotional services, and yamas are unfavorable activities, like the 4 rejects what we have to do: meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. That is coming under yamas. And under niyamas, the 9 principles is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Tashyam, and Sakyam, and Atma Nivedanam.
Okay, very good, Mataji. Yes. So I just randomly asked to everybody. Okay. So so today we are going towards the 4th NOI. That means the 4th shloka, the 4th text of Nectar of Instruction. So Nectar of Instruction, it is given by Rupa Goswami to whom? Whom it was given to? The first class introduction. I just came to know devotees have been joined to this course last week. I didn't have time because back-to-back classes were there. So I had to skip introduction to them and everything. So just a brief introduction. So anybody can recollect what we discussed, that who's, letter to nephew. Who was a nephew? Jiva Goswami. Very good. Yes, very good. Jiva Goswami, his nephew. So what happened? This Nectar of Instruction, how did it come? So Nectar of Instruction, it was actually said by Rupa Goswami. So once what happened, Vallabhacharya, who is also an acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, in that what happened, he came to Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami is he's an expert scholar. So there was no mistake in his literature. So suddenly what happened, Vallabhacharya, he came and he pointed out something mistake. Actually, there was no mistake in that whole verse. But then he just told that this was a mistake. And Rupa Goswami with humble, because Vallabhacharya was a little bit elder to Rupa Goswami. Out of, respect, he agreed it. Although there was no mistake, he just wanted to tell that. But then Rupa Goswami was so humble that he accepted it was his mistake. But then when the news came to Jiva Goswami, who is a nephew of Rupa Goswami and also the disciple of Rupa Goswami, he thought that my spiritual master, right, is Rupa Goswami. How can anybody tell anything to Rupa Goswami? And he went to Vallabhacharya and wanted to defeat him in their debate, and he defeated, and proudly he came to Rupa Goswami and told, because he was a spiritual master, he thought it will please him. But then what happened, Vallabhacharya, because he offended a great devotee, Rupa Goswami did not want, he gave a punishment to Jiva Goswami, and told him that all the Goswamis were in Vrindavan, and told Jiva Goswami to go to Mathura and stay there, and not to be in front of the eyes of Rupa Goswami. And because he offended a great devotee or elder to Rupa Goswami, and he thought it was a right, offense kind of a thing, and punishment was given to him to go to Mathura, and he stayed over there. When this news came to Sanatan Goswami, and after several years, Sanatan Goswami went to Mathura just for something, and he also knew that Jiva Goswami was already in Mathura. And when he went to Mathura, he saw Jiva Goswami, and he was doing so much endeavor, so much tapasya. So that means he was doing madhukari, and madhukari means if you get a food by chance in anybody's house, you can have a survival on that, or else you have to just drink water and survive. And Jiva Goswami was sometimes he would have not gone to madhukari or something, then he would have drunk the water with some ashes. And then that was kind of a austerity that he was doing, and he was very thin. And when Sanatan Goswami could not recognize him at the first moment, but then later he recognized that, oh, this is Jiva Goswami, our Jiva Goswami. And he went back to Vrindavan and told to Rupa Goswami that our Jiva Goswami is doing so much austerity, so much endeavor just to please his spiritual master, that is Rupa Goswami. And you have to just be merciful to Jiva Goswami. And hearing this from Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, he gave one by one letter to, he did not directly call him to Mathura, Vrindavan. He wrote a letters from Vrindavan to Mathura and gave it to Jiva Goswami. So those 11 letters which Jiva Goswami received from Rupa Goswami were the instructions that how a devotee should behave in front of another devotee, and how he should behave in front of a spiritual master, and how he should practice his devotional service for any neophyte devotee. These instructions are very, very, very important. And that's why we studied Bhagavad Gita, but before, we just studied, and we are now trying to do our devotional service towards Lord, right? Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. That means you have to do devotional service to me, leaving everything. So now we are just trying to do devotional service. So we are just neophyte devotees. Okay? At that moment, we should know the instructions of our Goswamis. So we gave this book, Nectar of Instruction, before all the other books. So Nectar of Instructions is the 11 instructions that were given to Jiva Goswami by Rupa Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, compiled all these letters and made a book that was Upadeshamrita, that what we are discussing today. And as we already did a small quiz and a small recap, that first shloka, the first text of Nectar of Instruction was just what you tell, the things that should be done to become a spiritual master, right? The urges, Vega, right? Vega means urges in English. So what does that mean? The Vegas, or the urges that has to be controlled, right? Without sense and mind control, we can't do anything. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, she says that the three things that have to be controlled, that is the bodily urges, okay, and then the mind's urges and belly's urges. Okay, the mind's urge is to be are very difficult to control, and then this comes with the bodily urges and belly's urges. So these things have to be controlled. That has so one who controls these urges, he is capable to become the what you tell. He is capable to become. He can make devotees or disciples all over the world. That means he is capable to become the spiritual master. And the best example we have is Srila Prabhupada, right? He is one of the pure devotee of the Lord, right? So he is the best example for all of us. How we can, and he set an example for all upcoming disciples, that how a person should be when he is doing devotional service towards the Lord. In each each platform he has shown us as an example. And then in the second chapter, or the second text, here Rupa Goswami says about the things that is not favorable to or unfavorable towards devotional service. If you do these things, that means if your urges are not controlled, these are the results. Okay, and these said in the second text. That is atyahara, that means overeating, and then prayasascha, Overeating when happens when your urges of the tongue and the belly is not controlled. So all these urges, if they are not in control, then what will happen? These are the results that are given in the text 2. And then in the text 3 that we discussed last week, that was which will help you in progressing in devotional service, or what are the results will help you in progress of devotional service if your urges are in control. That is utsaha nishchaya dhairya tat tat karma pravartana sangatyaga sato vrite shadbhir bhaktir prasidhyati. That has been given in the text 3. So now let's go to text 4. So what is there in this? Okay. I'll just share my screen. Okay, this is text 4. Everybody can see the screen.
Yes, Mata. Correct.
Okay. Yes, so nectar of instruction, text 4. So what is there in this? So as we discussed, the first text 1 to 7, the bhakti has several stages. Okay, so first is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, that means through practice. Then Raganubhava Bhakti, spontaneous bhakti, and then Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. Okay, and just okay. Is my voice open? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
It's okay now, Mataji. Earlier it was echoing a bit.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, so okay, when my voice is echoing, just message me or something. Okay, okay. So as I said, there are levels of bhakti, or how we go towards prema bhakti, right? Last is Krishna prema, right? When we say in the Chetodarpana Marjanam, the Sikshashtakam, what is the last thing, or the 10 offenses that has to be not made? At that time, what we lastly say, that is Krishna Prema, that is our destination. So till that, the way we are going is first is by the sadhana bhakti. That means we have to practice the bhakti. And these instructions 1 to 7 are given for the practice of sadhana bhakti. Then is Raganubhava Bhakti. That means spontaneous bhakti. And these things are very neatly explained in Nectar of Devotion that we will go later on. First, we will just see the instruction that has been given here. Okay, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti 1 to 7, preface and goal of Krishna consciousness, the mean to attain it. To reach the perfection in Krishna consciousness, one must follow the instruction of 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan by controlling the mind and senses as instructed by Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction. And then what is there in text 1? That is controlling the 6 urges. This verse elaborates on the prerequisites of the spiritual life as described in the third main point of the preface. The necessity of controlling the mind and the senses. A person who has mastered this prerequisite is fit to be the guru. As I said, the urges, if he is controlling, then he is fit to be the guru. Then in the text to what is describe the consequences of not controlling the mind and senses. By his own choice, the conditioned soul has fallen under the jurisdiction of material energy of the Lord. Right? There are 3 energies of the Lord. Which are they? The 3, the marginal, and then text, or in the chat box you can write.
It is external, antaranga, bahiranga,
and tatastha, the marginal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, marginal.
So in the last we discussed that how a person is if he's a Mahatma, and what is the things if he is doing as a Duratma. So we discussed that, right? Under its influence, he has met, he has to meet the demands of the body, which is the product of this energy. So text to further explains how to meet these basic demand in the way foster spiritual progress rather than the material entanglement. Then in the text 3, principles that aid devotional service. The 6 principles are given that helps us progress on the path of pure devotional service. Before discussing them, Srila Rupa Goswami explains what pure devotional service is. So in the text 4, what are we discussing today? Loving exchanges. In the previous lesson, we mentioned that our desires and ambition develop according to the company one keeps. Sangha sanjayate kama. What anybody can tell this shloka? Yes. 2.62 and 63. Yes, unmute them. Okay, Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा संगस्तेषूपजायते संगात् संजायते कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति बुद्धिनाशा बुद्धिनाशात् स्मृतिविभ्रंशः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति
Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat smriti vibhrama. Right? And then smriti vibhrama buddhinasha pranashyati. Very good. Okay. So what is said here? So dhyayato vishaya punsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama. That means the association after that, that means the lust increases here, the greed is increasing, right? Here it is said. And therefore, if we want to progress in Krishna consciousness, we have to associate with devotees. What happens? You must have experience. So anybody can tell or just write in the chat what will happen if you associate with the material people, materialistic people. How do you avoid it?
Hare Krishna Mataji, if we associate more with the material people, we lose our Krishna consciousness and we become more inclined towards the materialistic pleasures. So it is best if we keep away from the non-material people and we get ourselves associated with more and more devotees and Krishna conscious people. That is my take. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Will not progress in devotional service. Entanglement. Okay. So text 4 explains the association consists of. So now we all know the disadvantages of associating with the materialistic people. So then this text 4, right, which we are going to read, it has a loving exchange between the devotees. Why do we need devotee association?
Lakshmi Mataji, you can unmute.
Mataji, if because one needs to associate so that we can develop more and more Krishna conscious and become more disentangled from the materialistic pleasures and develop taste of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Mataji. Okay. Can you tell again, Mataji, Lakshmi Mataji? Yes. So we were in the text for the 6 loving exchanges. Okay. So here, what will happen if we are in the association of devotees? Further instruction on the so here it will also begins to explain how one should associate with the devotees, and further instructions on how to associate with different types of devotees are found in 5 and 6. So 5 and 6, it explains about 2 different kinds of devotees. Before that, we will just see what are the 6 loving exchanges that are done between the devotees. Okay. Yes. Next. So here, the shloka is Dadate pratigrihnati guhyam akyate prachati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. Here, what is said in this? What are the instructions given here? That is priti lakshanam. That means the 6 kind of loving exchanges, shadvidam, 6 kinds of loving exchanges that are done between the devotees are given here. So what is dadati means? Dadati means giving charity or gifts, offering gifts in charity. Next is dadati pratigrihnati, that means accepting the written gifts. Next is guhyam akyati pruchati. Guhyam, that means confidential. One reveals very confidential things in front of another good devotee. And then akyati pruchati, that means inquiring confidentially about devotional service. And then bhunkte, that means accepting the prasadam. Then bhojayate, giving the prasadam to another devotee. These 6 things are the loving exchanges that are done with a devotee, or or we can say between the devotees. Okay. Next. So offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, that means confidentially revealing one's mind, inquiring confidentially about devotional service, and then accepting prasadam, and then offering prasadam to that devotee or another devotee. So these 6 things are the loving exchanges that are done by between the devotees. Okay. So now 6 loving exchanges. Society is nourished by them. So ISKCON has been established to facilitate 6 loving exchanges between the devotees. Now, I just want to ask you all, how is ISKCON facilitating these 6 things? Just we read, right? How that ISKCON is facilitating these 6 things? One by one, you can give the examples. First one is offering gifts in charity and accepting charity as a gifts. Yes, Shreya Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
We donate many things to ISKCON. We offer donations and we receive in return, like in Gita Jayanti, on Gita Jayanti day, we receive Bhagavad Gita books. We receive the charities and we also give the charity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Next is revealing one's mind in confidence.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Mataji,
Siddhartha.
this happens in Hare Krishna Mataji. This happens in our Bhakti Vriksha group, where it is a close association with the devotees. So many of us comes and in fact speak of their mind, and there are many things which doubts are there and which are very, very personal to the devotees. In general, they would not have, said those things, but in a close Bhakti Vriksha group, this happens, and in fact, it is happening also. This is one example of Guiham Akhyati Prachati. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Then the next one, that is inquiring confidentially. That is done, right? Revealing one's mind in confidence and acquiring confidentially. Accepting prasadam and offering prasadam. Yes. It may not be in online, but offline at least. When you go to the temples. Yes. Anything in the chat?
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna. So it's when we go to the temple, there we receive pressure where we during the arti or after the arti we receive the prasad, or when we offer something, fruits or anything to the Lord, that is also considered to be as giving the prasadam and accepting the prasadam. That is also giving and taking.
Yes. So okay. Siddharth Prabhu, you want to tell?
Yes, Mataji. In fact, another example is where in a same neighborhood or in the same township, if there are two bhaktas are there, which is a practical thing, and programs happen in a particular Prabhu's house, then all this bhukti and bhojavata happens there in a physical form. So prasada is made, then prasada is taken, and prasada is also given.
Yes.
So this happens that way, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. So now the 6 loving exchanges between the devotees are being given here. As we discussed, how ISKCON is facilitating these 6 loving exchanges. If you see these 6 loving exchanges, which are here given in the spiritual mode, we can also see this in the material world also for material things, right? When businessmen they meet each other, right? There is a they come in pairs or reciprocation, right? You call for a birthday party. There is always a guest will give you the gift, and later what happens? You will give something in return gift, right? There is always a written gift. Or why is there a written gift? To show the loving exchange, that we also care for you, or we also love you as the same that you have given us. That means when a gift is given to somebody, it shows the love and concern towards another person, right? And when the written gift is given, the same love and concern is shown to this other devotees. So here in the given about the devotees, if we see in the purport, Prabhupada writes that even the businessmen in this material world, even they when they do a dealing, before before revealing their mind to another person, another businessman, they just don't just go to the office and they just don't reveal their mind. That means they won't reveal their ideas. First what they do, they call for a short meeting or something kind of for that, and then what they do, they start revealing, or they start to tell their ideas to another businessman, and in return next time he will give some kind of a feast or a party, right? In ISKCON every time there is some kind of a feast, right? Even the disappearance day, appearance day, everywhere there is a feast in ISKCON, if you see. So why it is done in the same way in the material world, the businessman or some dealings you have to do, then there is some medium, the basic medium that we all do, that is we call as a feast or a party, right? In the same way, when you want to reveal your mind to some other devotee, first you have to accept and give prasadam or honor prasadam, offer them the prasadam. So first one is here, the charity and the gift. So now, during the Rupa Goswami time, as Rupa Goswami is our Acharya, he has given us how practical example, how a person should give a charity, or how the person should actually divide his income, right? He says that when he was, taken out of, or when he left Hussein Shah and came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before that he had lots of wealth. Lots of wealth in the sense, the wealth, the gold coins in a big boat, that much of wealth he had. Then what happened? When he wanted to go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he divided his wealth into 3 sections. So 50% he gave it in the duty or in the Lord's service. Right here, Prabhupada says, in the same way, the grahasthas, that brahmacharis, however, don't have income. So grahasthas who are earning their duty, most of us are all the grahasthas. So how do we give charity and receive charity? That is, first is, we have to divide our income into 50% towards the spiritual progress. That means towards the spirituality. 25% to your household things and also to your relatives. And 25 things is for your personal household things. So this was actually done, the division, basic division was done by Rupa Goswami to give us the example, all the grahasthas, the example that how we should divide our income as. Next is on focus on giving. So our focus should be on giving. So in the material world, most of the focus is on taking, I want that, or everybody should give me. Rather, a devotee is always trying to serve another devotee. What is the greatest charity here told is that Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the holy name purifies the Harinam. That means the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it purifies all the living entities, right? That's why we do Harinam Sankirtan every day, and even in the temple devotees, they go out for Harinam Sankirtan. Why? That is the greatest charity. We give devotees the donation, yes. In return, what they give us, that is the Harinam Sankirtan, which purifies. We might have lots of money, right? Many businessmen, they have given lots of charity. We might have given, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs of money, but money itself does not make you, feel happy or a great devotee. Rather, you should, chant and also respect other devotees, and also do Harinam Sankirtan. That is given in return to other people. Then is the prasadam, right? ISKCON is giving lots of prasadam to all the many of the people, right? In any smallest to smallest temple in your city, if you go and if it is a ISKCON, they won't let you without giving you prasadam. That's the basic thing. And Prabhupada has told no one should be hunger around the ISKCON temple. That means wherever the ISKCON temple or the branch is there, within the mile, there should not be anyone hunger. That means everyone should be feeded with prasadam. Prasadam, why is prasadam different from ordinary food? Anybody can tell? Why is prasadam different from ordinary food? In the chat. The remnants.
Because when we offer to Krishna, all the sins from that food is taken away, and we get it back as a prasadam, which is free from all the, if there is any papam in that, it's been taken away. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. It's offered to Krishna and it's free from material contamination, offered to Krishna first. Okay. Yes. So you all know why is the prasadam is different from ordinary food, right? So giving prasadam, that means you are actually distributing the offerings that has done to the Supreme Lord. And then um, the and all the ISKCON preaching moment, right? Giving the knowledge. You may give any material things that may end up for some time. There is an end. But then when you give it as a spiritual thing, because soul is eternal, there is no end for the soul. The spiritual knowledge that the soul has to get regained, that is given uh, in this moment, right? So the charity giving, that means as a grihastha, your main duty is to give charity to the brahmanas. In the olden days, they were giving charity to brahmanas, and then receiving. That means receiving the greatest pleasure that the devotees are giving through Harinam, Sankirtan, and Prasadam. Yes. Next is about confidential talk, or revealing one's mind, and the importance of confidential talk, and then topic. What are the topics of talks? So now we might have listened to this, or what are the confidential talks are given here. Now here, that means guhyam akyati prachati. Guhyam, the confidential talks that are done between the devotees, which are very close devotees, right? It is not ordinary things. Here what they are talking, they're not talking about what happened yesterday in the news channel or something. They're not talking about material things. The devotees talk about the spiritual, right? The spiritual things. Here, the experienced devotee, so how we are going here, that means how you are progressing in this, that is guhyam akyati prichati, that is through asking your doubts. Next is asking your doubts to your spiritual master or anybody who is senior to you, and getting the doubts cleared, right? An experienced devotee, that means one who has gone through this path, he can experience, and the experienced devotee can actually explain to you. And who is not experienced or less experienced, he can learn from the experienced devotee. So here, what are they speaking, what are they exchanging themselves? That is guhyam akyati prichati, that means confidential topics. And you're speaking, that means the confidential talking topics are spoken here by the experienced devotee. And then inquiring akyati prichati, that means inquiring is done by the neophyte devotees, that means who are not experienced in that thing. That means about the devotional service, how I can progress in devotional service, how I can do the devotional service to the Lord, is given here. And this should be strictly Krishna Katha, not Prajalpa, and talk as a gift for others. Okay. Next is about Bhunkte Bhojayate Chaiva. So now Bhunkte Bhojayate Chaiva, that is the Prasadam. The way to the man's heart is through stomach. Everybody must have heard this, right? What is the way to man's stomach? That is through, that means through heart, that is through stomach, right? That means the way you cook, right? Normally, if a husband has to be, pleased, then wife cooks a very good, delicious food, right? So that he can get pleased by her. And this is the power of prasadam. So initially, when Prabhupada was in America, the power of prasadam is given here. So initially, when Prabhupada was in America, he did not directly preach them the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. He slowly he started giving them, what is it? Prasadam. And the gulab jamun, which Prabhupada was making, and he was an expert cook. He was daksha in the cook. That means he was very expert in cooking. Prabhupada was very expert. And in 2 hours, he used to do so many prasadam, so many items for Lord Krishna. And with all the love and devotion he used to make. And in that, most famous was gulab jamun. Today also, if you go to any ISKCON, Govindas or any ISKCON temple, you can ask them the ISKCON bullets. They'll give you the gulab jamuns, because when the hippies were just turning towards like living like a devotees, Prabhupada started to give them these gulab jamuns, or you know, these he used to call it as ISKCON bullets. That means anybody eats these gulab jamun that are so sweet made by Prabhupada, he will immediately, become devotee of the Lord. So that was the power of cooking. And this cooking was not done by ordinary person, it was done by pure devotee. That means while we are cooking the food to the Lord, or offerings to the Lord, the cooking is not completed, or I'm offering the food to the Lord after putting tulsi in it. Not like that. The consciousness while you're cooking the food is also considered. In which consciousness are you doing the food to the Lord? That means if you are disturbed today, you're anger today, or you're sad or something, the consciousness will affect that food. So in the DT kitchen or in any temple, if you go, the DT kitchen is maintained by the expert devotees. It is not given to everybody. It's not open to all. Any chef from any hotel or restaurant, he can't cook in the DT kitchen. The DT kitchen is given to an expert, a devotee, that under his guidance, many other devotees are doing it. It is not openly given to anybody in any temple if you go. So why is this? Because in the hotel, what we eat outside, it is completely rajasic food, or even if it is a salad, the consciousness while making that food, or if the person's consciousness was in the rajas, that means in the mode of passion, then that will affect your food. Whatever healthy food you say, if the mode of consciousness while doing it. So normally devotees, what they do, they don't go to hotels and restaurant, because the consciousness of that chef will affect in that particular food item. So DT's kitchen is maintained by expert cook, and he has to be very concerned about the food which is made for especially for the Lord. So here the power of prasadam, as I said, Prabhupada used to make that gulab jamun, the bullets, and that was a very, very effective mode of, converting, or we can say bringing them to Krishna consciousness. Even the wives, if they are a very good cook, they can cook for, and husband is non-devotee or is not accepting you to be in devotional service, then cook a very good dish. And before he sees, just offer it to the Lord, and put the tulsi and offer it to the Lord in the kitchen itself, where the place is very clean. Offer it to the Lord and remove that tulsi. You eat it, and then give it to your husband or children's, or if you're a husband, give it to your wife and family members. The remnant of the Lord, or the food offered to the Lord, is very pure and very powerful. And while you're cooking that food also, your consciousness should be very good. Consciousness in the food. And this is about the bhunte bhojyate chaiva. That means here about the prasadam, how the consciousness is given. And then we should give this prasadam to whom? The devotees of the Lord, or anybody who is submissive towards the Lord. If we give them, just because it's a remnant of the Lord, they will definitely become the devotees of the Lord. And then bhojayate, that means accepting prasadam and offering prasadam. As I said, even in our business dealings, material dealings, or any functions, if you go, right, what do they give you? You give something to them, and in exchange they will also give. In the same way, you call a feast to your neighborings or any devotees. Okay, these are between the devotees. So they will just call for a food, and then what happens? The devotees in return, they will call you for uh, just to offer you the food. So here the transcendental vibration, or the transcendental remnant that is given in this prasadam is explained here. That means even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, many incidents are there, and one whole chapter. I remember a devotee saying that one whole chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita explains about prasadam. That means there was a feast arranged, and then the whole what you tell, the whole chapter is just explaining which food were there in that particular vessel, in this vessel what was there, and so many things. The one chapter, so many shlokas it took just to explain how the feast is done. And I think so only the ISKCON has that food, standard food, or any food that can be offered to the Lord is offered, and lavish food is given to the deities. We should not eat, right? The urges we spoke about in the last text. We spoke the first text, that is urges, and also in the second, that we should not eat too much, atyahara, or we should not get attracted to too much of food. But then these are the loving exchanges. In love, the devotees have to give to another devotees. That has been explained here. Okay, next is about the last things. Before that, just an explanation on how these things, these 6 things are are the loving exchanges between the devotees are given here, right? So even in many ways in Chaitanya Charitamrita are also given how the loving exchanges are being done between the 2 devotees. So here the pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the heart of the living entities. So here it is speaking about first one, Dadati, right? Giving charity. And that Prabhupada writes that how a devotee is receiving benefit from this, that is through eternal, because the love for Lord is already there in our heart. So just by hearing and chanting, that means as we said, the 9 types of devotional service. What are those? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. The first 2 are very, very important, right? As I said before also, the Shravanam and Kirtanam, that means hearing about the Lord and chanting his holy names, right? In Kali Yuga, these 2 things are very, very important, because Krishna enters through our ears, right? How the food, the food may enter through our, tongue, and then to belly, and then the prasadam, right? And through hearing, what happens? Hearing, the Lord enters through our ears, because we can't see the Lord through our material eyes. At least we can hear his transcendental pastimes. All the pastimes are done by the Lord are always transcendental. They are not taken as the material things. Sometimes what happens when we mingle with, or when we are associating with the materialistic people, we find that the Lord's activities are also material. That is wrong. As I said, when we are associating with the materialistic people, the doubts about the existence of the Lord comes, because they do not believe in the Lord, or they may not be in Krishna consciousness, and that's why they start doubting the Lord. And when you accept their association, what happens? You will also start doubting about the Lord, and you will also say that they are all enjoying in the material world, I am not enjoying, right? Sometimes it happens. You feel that I don't have any friend in my circle, or you may feel that my office colleagues, they do not accept me as I am. Why? Because their life, what normally in this world they think the life which they are leading is very, very good, but actually to see, the life they are living are in the illusion. They're just thinking that their life is very great and everything, but that is not permanent. That will go one day, right? Then what happens? we forget about the Lord and we start doubting the Lord's existence. And then we stop hearing from the devotees, right? Here, confidential topics have been discussed. That means between the devotee, always there should be a speaking about the Lord. Now we all are neophyte. Even when we are speaking, we may speak in the materialistic mode. We may forget for a time that we are serving for the Lord, right? But then we should always think that we are all serving the Lord. Hearing also is a serving the Lord, because the Lord is in your heart, right? Uh, we learnt in Bhagavad Gita that Lord is in our heart in the Paramatma feature, right? And now when we are hearing about the Lord, what happens? The love for the Lord is increased, and even the Lord inside our heart starts hearing that my devotee is also hearing about me, and he when we hear about the Lord, what happens? Immediately our Krishna consciousness is awakened. We need not actually tell how to be as a devotee. That naturally comes, right? Becoming a devotee, it actually naturally comes. Just the thing is, we want somebody to encourage us, and also we want somebody to guide us. That is the spiritual master, right? That is there here. Naturally awaken. Our Krishna consciousness is how? It's in the dormant stage. So just by associating with the devotees, what will happen? The dormant Krishna consciousness is immediately awakened just by association of the devotees. Now we all are in the online association. When we come together, or any devotee is there beside, in any temple you are associated with, or the nearby temples, when you go there, you are associated with the devotees. Naturally, what happens? When you see other devotees greeting you, next time what happens? When new devotees come to you, you also start greeting them in the same way, because you saw somebody else was greeting you with so much humble and patience. You also start behaving in a very humble and patient way, right? Small children's, what they do when they go to a teacher, when they go to a new school, maybe in the nursery classes or pre-kg classes, they start imitating the teachers, right? Even we have done in a childhood, we start imitating the teachers. But then later we start understand that we should not imitate, rather we should follow the good part of the teacher. In the same way, the devotees should also follow the footsteps of great devotees. That means the elders or senior devotees, they have experience, so much experience, and also just not by the age. Here I am not speaking about the experience through age, it's by hearing. It is as I said, I may had said this already or not, but we must remember this, that in Krishna consciousness, because in any college or school you may judge a person through his age or limits. But then in Krishna consciousness, because this is not dealing with the material platform or the materialistic body, it is dealing with which? The soul, right? And you don't know, only Krishna knows what was, and only Krishna can trace our previous janmas or previous life. We don't know what were you in your previous life. You don't know what was I in my previous life, right? But Krishna knows, and through that he arranges our life in the next. If I was a devotee in previous 5-6 lives, then Krishna arranges my life in such a way that in the next life also I can do the devotional service, or continue the devotional service and go back to the Godhead, right? Here sometimes what happens, the small children, they start, you know they start learning Bhagavad Gita very quickly, and they may also become the great preachers in a very very young age. Maybe in the 7th or 8th they start preaching, because they were already the preachers, or they already have read in their previous life. The soul actually remembers. Sometimes when we normally, I have experienced, because sometimes what happens, when I read some Bhagavad Gita shloka, it is very easy to understand or very easy to make kantastha. I don't know, I heard it for the first time and it became kantastha in my lips. That means I had heard this already in my previous life. Sometimes it happens to you also. You might have thought that, oh, this verse, it became just very easy to remember for me, because it was already in your dormant state. That means it was already in your mind, but then it was not remembered in this life. So when you start reading it, it becomes very easy. In the same way, the spiritual life also, when you do the devotional service, okay, when you do the devotional service under the guidance of an expert devotee, that is all the disciples in ISKCON, they follow the Prabhupada. Whatever Prabhupada has said, they just follow that. Prabhupada said 8 a.m. there should be Bhagavatam classes, and he used to do it. And then what happened? Everybody, every ISKCON, even today, 8 a.m. there will be Bhagavatam classes. Whatever he said, all of them just follow it, because he is expert in devotional service. Because we are not expert, we should always try to what you tell, we have to try to follow the elder, that means senior devotees or expert devotees. And then inquiring about the confidentially, about what, about devotional service is given here. So about the sankirtana, right? About the sankirtana we spoke. So what about the sankirtana here, we say, right, we have to gift something to the devotees, and give one devotee will gift another devotee. So here what is the main purpose? That is the Nam Sankirtan. As I said, the Harinam Sankirtan, one incidents come in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all must have heard, or I'll just tell that while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan, he went through the forest area, and that was the Jarikanda forest. And at that time, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started doing the Sankirtana and started dancing and chanting. Seeing him, all the animals and deer that were dancing, and all the tigers, deers, they came together to dance to the holy name of the Lord. And also snakes and all kinds of animals. The elephants were dancing inside the, they were going for the bath, and inside the river also they were dancing in ecstasy, and they were actually speaking what they were saying, Hari Hari, that means take the Lord's name. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying HARIBOL, they were all saying Hari Hari. And this is just an example that the Harinam Sankirtan is for all the not just for the human beings, it is for everybody. So what is the difference between the chanting and the Harinam? Can anybody tell? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Chanting is one-to-one individual, and it is for our individual growth and Krishna consciousness. But Harinam is for whoever is there in that Harinam. Many people, multiple people, many creatures. I mean, maybe then all kinds of species can be benefited from Harinam.
Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, there is no difference between chanting and Harinam Mataji. Namno name abhinnatva.
The Sankirtan and chanting.
Sankirtan is Mataji group of devotees doing the Kirtan Mataji.
Okay. Yeah. So the chanting is done, the holy name. So when we are taking the holy name also, Haridas Thakur, we might have heard his name, right? Haridas Thakur, he was not just silently taking the holy name of the Lord in his mouth. He was loudly chanting the holy name of the Lord. because he wanted to deliver even the living small creatures. They can't chant the holy name of the Lord just by loudly chanting. That should not be like a sankirtan. Sankirtan means you're going outside with all the kartals and mridangas and starting to sing the harinam in the very melodious way. That is the another type. And then loudly chanting the holy name of the Lord. You have to hear the names of the Lord. That means you have to hear whatever you are speaking there, or the chanting. And also when you start loudly chanting the vibrations of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it simply, what it does, it simply advances the consciousness of the trees and animals beside you. And just now I gave the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how just by loudly chanting and also dancing, that means he was doing Sankirtan here. One is Haridas Thakur, who was loudly chanting. Another is that Sankirtan, that means both can deliver all the living entities when you loudly chant, um, and also what, when you do Sankirtan. That's why people, they do not come to the temples. What the devotees do, they go out of the temples and do Sankirtan moment, because the people, the materialistic people, they don't have time for the Lord, right? They don't have time to invest in the spirituality. Rather, they have plenty of time to do the materialistic thing, right? The materialistic things are like punascharvita charvanhanam. That means you're doing the things which are already done by you millions of times, because you have taken millions of birth already. You have gone through the janma mrityu jara vyadi millions of times, but then you're doing again and again the same indriya bhoga, or the sense gratification. That means the people in the materialistic world, they don't have time for the Lord. Rather, they have plenty of time for the same thing that have been done in millions of species of life. So devotees, what they do, the brahmacharis, what they do, they go out of the temple and they do Sankirtan, right? They start book distribution. Prabhupada used to always encourage book distribution more than being inside the temple, right? Because why it is? To preach the whole world about Krishna. Why was this online Gita course was done? Just not for the benefit of the temple, rather it was benefit for the all the living entities, right? How many of us have been benefited from this online Gita course, right? So why it is done? With the compassion to all the living entities. So here by loudly chanting and doing Sankirtan, what happens? The lower conscious the living entities will get Krishna consciousness, or they start worshipping, or in their next life at least they start worshipping the Lord, and directly they can get the human form of the life and need not roam inside the materialistic or the three modes of material nature. So people should give up the company of yogis, jnanis, and karmis. Right? The yogis, jnanis, and karmis are they are sakama. That means they all have desires. The yogis, what they have, they have the desire for all kinds of siddhis. Jnanis, they want to the yogis, they want to get the siddhi. Jnanis, they want to get merged with the Lord, and that is also the materialistic part, because there also you want to become the God, right? And here that means you want to enjoy like God. That is also not good. And then that means that is also offenseful towards the Lord. And what is karmi? They have fruitive desires, and it's very difficult to to give up the association for a neophyte devotees. So how to give up the association of the neophyte, these materialistic people by neophyte devotee, to associate with the devotees in Krishna consciousness? That's why this ISKCON movement was spread all over, because people wanted to live peacefully or live in a loving loving affair. That means in the material world, if we see normally, everybody is ready to exploit another people. In material life, the boss is exploiting the employees, and the employer is exploiting the employees. The partners are exploiting each other. Children are sometimes exploiting the parents, and parents are exploiting the children for their sense gratification, right? Here normally in the world, material world, everybody is trying to exploit or use, or what you tell, for sense gratification. They want to use to other living entities, right? Here people want to eat meat. Why? They want to exploit the less powerful species, and rather than helping them, they come with all the all the trust they have that this powerful living entity will help them in growing. But rather what the people do is just kill each other. That means everybody is trying to exploit. So when this Krishna conscious moment came, they saw the real love for the Lord, the real love for the Godhead, and people accepted it because here there was no exploit. Everybody was servant for each other, and everybody wanted to serve eternally to the Lord. This was a new concept that was introduced, because everybody, whoever came to spirituality, they started to tell, I am God, you are God, everybody is God. But there was somebody who told, I am the servant of the Lord. So everybody started to pick up Krishna consciousness, because they got the association of the devotees, the pure devotee, right? That was Srila Prabhupada. They got association of Srila Prabhupada. That was the reason why people started chanting the holy name of the Lord, because they experienced the true love for the Godhead, right? Here it is given that how one devotee should have a very good relationship with another devotee in progress to if we want to progress in Krishna consciousness. And we should always be far away from Mayavadis. That means who are consider themselves that Lord is impersonal, there is no Lord that is. And then the people who say to merge with the Lord, that means they want to enjoy like a Lord. That means they are not the servant of the Lord, right? We should avoid their association, right? The atheist. How many in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in the 18th chapter last, he says what he says, that this knowledge, the confidential knowledge, should be given only to my devotees and not to the envious people, because the three people, the karmi, the jnani, and the yogis and the philanthropists, they are envious of the Lord, or they don't know, they are ignorance, they are in full ignorance of the Lord. Because they are ignored, they ignore the Lord. We should not try to, we can actually bring them in Krishna consciousness, but if they are not ready and they are too much envy towards the Lord, we should not go there. And we in the next chapter, we will in the next, what you say, in the next text, we will discuss what are the three kinds of devotees and how to deal with them. Okay, that has been given in the next two text. So here we should avoid the association of the Mayavadis, right? Mayavadi bhasha sune hoya sarvanasha. That means if you are in influence of Mayavadi, that you are God, I'm God, everybody is God, no one is servant to the Lord, we are all God, or that is there is no God. And also the materialistic people, the political parties, they just change their religion, so-called religion, just for entertainment, or just for becoming, for few claps. They just change the whole thing, and they just tell secularism, there is no God, and there is everybody is God. So that kind of a thing, whoever are there in this material world, we should try to avoid their association. We should not accept their association. So here Prabhupada says there is no benefit in feeding a snake milk and bananas, because snake will never be satisfied. So here, that means how much ever you try to bring them into Krishna consciousness, the atheistic people, they do not want to hear about the Lord. Nor should we extend invitation to Mayavadis and atheists, nor accept their invitation, for by such intimate intermingling, we may become affected by the atheistic mentality. Right? Sangat sanjayate kama, that is said here. That means when we are associated with the materialistic people, what happens? As we said, there will be doubt, inquiry about the Lord's existence will start. Right? So how is this Krishna consciousness helping us? By association of devotees. Right? So here, Srila Rupa Goswami, what else I said, right? For your how a person should divide his money or divide his wealth, I said. So here, everything should be in a proper portion, that you give lot more to the Lord's pleasure. Yes. Yes, Shrida Mataji. 50% earnings should be given to Vaishnava temples or similar service. That means the Vaishnavas and the devotees of the Lord. That has to be given here. Very good. Yes, just a question timing now. Okay. Prabhu, can you share the screen?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay, text 4. Right? Anybody has the book, they can just recite this shloka. Text 4. What we discussed today, and what are the 6 things that we discussed today. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Siddhant Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. A text for Dadati Pratigrhanati Guhyam Akshati Pruchati Bhunte Bhojayate Chaiva Sadvidham Priti Lakshanam.
Yes.
So offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentiality, accepting prasada and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee to another. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Can anybody define the Guhyam Akyati Prachati and give a personal or practical example for this?
One who gives the knowledge of confidential topics, and one who inquires about the confidential topics. Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Can
Hare
anybody
Krishna,
give?
Mataji.
Okay. Yes. Can anybody give the practical example for this? How we are getting these things in our life?
Hare Krishna, Dinesh Prabhu. You can unmute yourself. Prabhuji, we are unable to hear.
Echoing.
Prabhuji, you may
Yes.
write in the chat. Hare Krishna, ready, Prabhuji. You can unmute yourself.
Sometimes some devotees may have some personal problems in progressing Krishna consciousness. So they may talk to other devotees. That is.
Whom should they consult? Neophyte devotee?
Any other devotees or senior devotees?
Senior devotees or experienced devotees, as I said, right? One is Guhyam. Confidential topics are spoken by the senior devotee or experienced devotee, the Dakshas. And then what should be a neophyte devotee with all kinds of questions or how to serve the Lord? It should be asked by neophyte devotee to a experienced devotee, not just discussing about the things, just also to take the guidance. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dinesh Prabhuji has written in the chat, inquiries and doubts are related to spiritual matter discussed with Uttama Adhikari.
Yes. The 3 types of adhikaris we will discuss in the next chapter and next text. Sorry, the chapters are coming in my mouth. Okay. How should one spend his income? Many of them already written in the chat box. Just anybody can tell it. Yes. Unmute. Shraddha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. To spend one's income, as explained by you today, is like 50% income should be given to a Vaishnav temple or similar service, like for donation, DT seva, or distributing books, anything which is related to Vaishnav seva. That is 50% of income should be saved for that purpose. 25% is for the family expense and the relatives. And if relatives need help, we have to give it for the 25%, and the remaining 25% should be used for personal emergencies or like anything which happens like COVID situation or something like that.
Yes. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Next question. Okay. Done. So these things are there. And sometimes what are the problems which we face while doing these 6 kinds of exchanges? Anybody can tell what are the problems may arise while we are doing the 6 loving exchanges with the devotees? Or this thing, I'll leave it to the Bhakti Vrikshas. You can just note it down, everybody, or the Bhakti Vriksha leader will discuss this with the Bhakti Vriksha members and take a note in your books. And then just in the next class, that means after a week, when we will meet, you just have to give it, or one by one, the Bhakti Vriksha leaders will say to in the class. Okay, that will be the the activity for Bhakti Vrikshas. That the 6 dealings the loving dealings which we have been discussing here, what problems we may face in those 6 dealings while we are doing the 6 dealings. What are the problems we will be getting? So this is for the Bhakti Vrikshas. Bhakti Vrikshas leader, take a note and you just discuss. It won't take, I think so, more than 10 to 20 minutes. Just discuss and take bullet points. Just don't write everything. Just take some bullet points and then present it next week. Is that okay? The Bhakti Vriksha leaders can unmute or raise their hands. I'll just send the the question. Okay. This can be also the assignment question later on, or may not be. Okay, I'll just send it. Just take a note of this. Okay. And then next class when you come, you just have to tell me some 5 bullet points. 5 points are enough, or 6 points are enough for 6 things. Okay. Okay, Pradosh Prabhu, I think so you're the host. You can stop the live.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.